Hey beauties! Today we are going to swatch Clionadh's latest release. These came out earlier in October and I promised you all I will swatch them for you on camera, and that's what we're doing today. If that sounds good, let's jump in. As always, I'm swatching left to right, top to bottom. I'm gonna swatch every single shade on camera for you all, and if you want me to do comparisons or looks or something like that later, make that request in the comments. First shade I'm gonna swatch for you all is Rex. This shade looks like it has a beautiful sky blue base with a shift of gold and a shift of purple. And from some angles, it looks kind of green. Rex looks beautiful, gorgeous, and shifty, and it looks like it's comprised of tiny glitter particles. Again, friends, no unsafe glitter is ever used in this channel. So these are mica-based glitters, if they are even called glitters, and they're safe for the eyes. You can see the shifts, beautiful turquoise blue to gold to pink to purple. And this shade is a little flaky. I would imagine it looks much better over a tacky base. I'm not using any base here. There are a lot of shades that come to mind for dupe of this. If you want me to do a dupe swatch, let me know. Our next shade is Scroll, which looks like it has a beautiful orangey coral base with a silver hue on top. I'm trying to move it around to see if there are any other shifts visible in the pan, and I can't see anything. Maybe I could say it kind of has a gold hue also, but I can't really see anything more in the pan at least. All the shifts that we could see in the pan show up in the swatch. Orange to coral, and then a beautiful yellow gold, and I love the coral right there, and even the silver. I love this shade. This shade looks kind of unique. I'm not sure if I have a lot of dupes for it, but I'm willing to search for more dupes if you all want me to. Solarium reminds me of a few shades that I have used in my custom-made palettes in the past. If you want me to do a comparison swatch of this, make that request in the comments below. This shade has a yellow base with a tealy green shift, which gives it a cool toned hue, and then from some angles it also looks pink, like there. Solarium is also super gorgeous. It reminds me of one of Divina's shades. I can't remember the name, but I'm pretty sure I've swatched that whole collection here for you all before, and I'll tag that swatch video if you want to check it out. Remember that this shade is not opaque, so I'm imagining you can also use it over a deep primer for a different effect. But we can definitely see the shifts obvious in the pan, yellow to teal to green, and even a little bit of pink. This one is Synthesis, and from the texture in the pan, it looks very similar to the rest of the Dimensional Multichrome collection. I see some glitteriness. You see that? Yeah, and I'm excited to swatch this one because you all know I love multichromes that have a neutral shift, and I can see a very visible neutral shift here. We see green, we see teal, we also see something more like a brownie kind of a shade, or taupe kind of a shade, and I can't wait to actually swatch this. The shifts of Synthesis are very obvious, and you can definitely see the glittery texture here. Let me catch that aubergine shift right there. I feel like I have a relatively similar shade in my Touch of Glam collection. If you all want me to swatch them together, let me know. What do you all think about doing shorts of swatch comparisons? This is what the shade looks like away from any light. This next one is Liquidus. And I'm surprised that this is new because Clionadh should have had something like this. It looks like it's one of those that goes deep blue to deep purple to sort of red, like Alter Ego from Terra Moons. It even has some red over there, like pinky and red shifts. Beautiful shade, but as I said, I'm surprised we haven't seen this already from Clionadh. Because Liquidus is a dimensional multichrome, it's very glittery. You can see the shininess of the tiny glitters throughout this shade. And I mentioned it's similar to Alter Ego from Terra Moons, but Alter Ego is a super creamy shade, so it doesn't have a texture like this at all. And when the shade is creamy, the shifts become a lot more metallic looking and very smooth and blending into each other. Whereas with this shade, because of the texture, the shifts are a little bit more diffused. Like you should be able to see sort of green over there or red over there, but they're kind of diffused. Beautiful, beautiful shades still. Our next one is Amalgam. This kind of a shift we've seen a lot. So this kind of has a light burgundy base going into a very obvious muted teal shift. Not that I'm disappointed. I'm just saying that this is not a shift we haven't seen before, even from Clionadh. And from the texture, it's obvious that this is a dimensional multichrome because again, I see those very obvious tiny dots of glitter in this shade. Now, I have to say, this whole collection looks a lot more bright and vibrant compared to other Clionadh's collection, and I have a lot of their collection. The other collections look a lot more creamy, and these look just very metallic, at least from the pan. Although from the pan I said this is a common shade, after swatching it, it's definitely a lot more shifty and metallic looking than the other ones that I have. So it doesn't look super opaque. You should be able to see your skin color from under it, but you can see how bright it is. Our next one is Baroness. A beautiful cool toned pink, going to coral, going to gold. And even from some angles, I see a silver shift. This reminds me of one of their shades in their electric multichrome collection. You all know how much I love pink shift going to a gold shift. And one thing that I want to make sure I highlight here is that of all the Clionadh collections that I have, this is the first collection I'm seeing where the shifts are totally metallic. Most of Clionadh's past collections, and I confess that I don't have the last 9 shades that they released sometime in the summer. I ordered it. I haven't received it yet. It was a pre-order. It's like stuck at customs or something. So I can't speak to that. But compared to their older collections, this looks very metallic looking on the skin, and I love that for Clionadh. Their past collections were in comparison pretty creamy on the texture side. So I'm excited to see what new things they're going to come up with, knowing that they're going to do more of these metallic textures probably. This is Entropy, definitely a very new and different shift. At least for Clionadh, it reminds me a little bit of Venus from Terra Moons, again, just from the pan. Although Venus has a very distinct bright pink shift compared to this one. This one has sort of a green going to gold. You see the shift there, to a pink, to a light purple right there. And maybe even more shifts that will come out in the swatches. Also, again, purely from the texture, you see all the glitters. Looks like it would be a dimensional one. Being a lover of a pink to gold multichrome shift, Entropy is a very interesting shade for me. I love the diffused yellow that kind of has a hint of green over there. Then we have the pink that goes into a magenta purple. And I love that it's kind of cool toned. Look at this. I love it. Can't wait to actually use this in a look. If you want me to do looks with these or look ideas with these, let me know. And last but not least, we have Facet, a Series 3 iridescent multichrome. If I remember correctly, they had released another one, Light Fast, that I already swatched for you all when I did the swatch of what they released last Christmas. I'll tag the video for you all if you're curious. From the pan, it's very difficult to know what the shifts will be, so let's take a look at them in the swatches. Facet is kind of an interesting and different shade because compared to a lot of iridescent multichromes from other brands and Clionadh itself, it has a white base, as you can see here. Now, maybe if I keep rubbing the shade on my hand, the white base disappears, but clearly it didn't disappear here. And the shifts are very unique, and I'm liking that. They're kind of diffused, cool toned magenta, and then you have a very diffused gold, which is so nice. And I think it also kind of goes into a green teal. You see there? Yeah, it's a very nice shade, but I personally don't know if I would call this an iridescent multichrome rather than just a regular multichrome. Or maybe it's a different take on an iridescent multichrome. Not super opaque base though. It's definitely something that would look different if you use it on a black base, for example. Beauties, if you enjoyed these kinds of videos, don't forget a thumbs up before you leave. I have a whole playlist of swatch videos, including a lot of Clionadh swatches that's going to be recommended to you on the screen. I love you all. Have an awesome day, and until next time, bye.